Hello and welcome back. So this video is called Things I Panned Before I Was a Project Banner. I thought it would be fun to do this video where I talk about items that I finished up and repurchased actually long ago before I was a project panner. I've been project panning for almost 4 years. Before that, I was kind of the opposite of a project panner where I was terrified to finish anything up because I was so scared I would have to repurchase. And yeah, I didn't treasured my makeup and I didn't want to finish it. However, there were some items that I finished, and some of these I had finished quite a few of them. So I just thought it would be fun to talk about. Let me know what you think and let's get into it. So many moons ago, like 5 or 6 years ago, my favorite concealer was the Maybelline Fit Me. And I went through a lot of those actually. I finished so many. I did own high-end concealers such as the MAC Pro Longwear, which that was very popular on YouTube also about 5 or 6 years ago. But I was so treasuring my makeup that I particularly treasured the high-end makeup, and I would only use it like on the weekend, but then going to work, I didn't want to be panning and finishing all this expensive makeup. So a lot of this stuff was drugstore because I didn't want to finish up my high-end makeup. So I would use Maybelline Fit Me most of the time, but then when I felt fancy, I would use MAC Pro Longwear. So anyway, but I did really like that concealer. Next item is a high-end product, and that is Estee Lauder Double Wear. I did the same thing as I did with concealer with foundation. I used to own drugstore foundations that I would wear during the work week, and then on the weekend when I was feeling fancy, I would wear my high-end foundations such as Estee Lauder Double Wear. But that was my favorite foundation for a really long time. And honestly, I really still do like it. I just haven't owned it in a while. But I went through multiple bottles of that. I mean, I think I've finished like at least 5 of those. I really liked it. I still think it's a great foundation. So yeah, Estee Lauder Double Wear, definitely finished that many times. As far as blush, believe it or not, there was a time when I only owned one blush, and it was the L'Oreal True Match blush in peach something. And I completely finished that up. It was the only blush I had. But then after that, that's when I really got into high-end blush, and I bought ones from MAC and NARS. Those were really popular back like 10 years ago. They still are, but anyway. Then the blush obsession became real, and I bought more and more, and pretty much was never finishing them because I had so many. I would just rotate through all of them, and it's still really hard to finish a blush. Next thing is the Anastasia Brow Wiz, and I actually did the same thing with this as I was doing with everything else, where I was trying to use drugstore products during the week. But this thing, it doesn't last that long. Like, even if you're only using your Brow Wiz on the weekends, you'll finish it in probably 6 months. If I used that thing every day, I would run out of it in 2 or 3 months. So it goes by really quickly, and I definitely finished a lot of those. Long ago, before I ever did a Pan That palette, I completely finished a few actually of those Wet n Wild trios. They are no longer trios. They are now quads, or I think even 5-pan palettes. They still have the same ones though. I completely finished Walking on Eggshells. That was like my everyday work makeup for a long time. And also the one in Silent Treatment, particularly that taupey purple gray shade. Oh boy, I loved that thing. When that thing ran out, I was sad. But then I realized I had MAC Satin Taupe, which is nearly an identical eyeshadow. So I did move on to that after that. But yeah, I completely panned those Wet n Wild trios, and I loved them. They were amazing. It's like I was doing a baby Pan That palette long before I was ever project panning. Another item from Wet n Wild is their eyeshadow primer. And that has been my favorite for so long. I actually don't even have it right now. I have the Milani one, but many years ago, 6 or 7 years ago, it was in that Fergie packaging, and I would buy so many backups of that because I knew that I would run out of it in about 5 months or so. I had a huge backstock of that, and once I started project panning, I had like 4 of those to finish. I didn't need to buy eyeshadow primer for a good 2 years. Like I said, I was trying not to use my high-end makeup because I was so scared it would run out, but I did love my MAC lipsticks, and I finished at least 3 of those. Cis, Myth, and Creme de Nude, and Cis was my favorite color of all time. And I don't even think they make that shade anymore. It was a more brown nude. Oh, That color was beautiful. I really miss it actually. I wish I had it, but I couldn't find it anywhere. So anyway, I definitely use those up because I really loved my MAC lipsticks and I still think that they are quite good. And the last thing is MAC Woodwinked eyeshadow. Do you guys remember when this was super popular on YouTube years ago? It's a beautiful bronzy color and I finished 3 of those. I would wear that almost every day when I wasn't wearing the Wet n Wild walking on eggshells all over the lid, and I would buff it out in the crease too, just for a one eyeshadow look. And it actually worked really well for that because even though it's a shimmer, it does buff out to more of a satin if you're using it in the crease. It's a really cool eyeshadow actually, but now there is a ton of colors like that. At the time, I really couldn't find any others, but now I have several in many of my neutral palettes that are very similar to that shade, but it was an amazing eyeshadow and I loved it. All right, so that is it for this video. Please let me know if you are a project panner, what are some of the things that you finished before you were a project panner, or maybe some people didn't finish any makeup before. I don't know, let me know. Thanks for watching.